Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. It is Sunday. I'm not sure what the date is, but it's the first the first DMR for 2021. Welcome in everybody. I am Lady Wu. The crew is in the virtual studio and in the building. Welcome to the show, and we also have our special guest in place. Great show tonight. I'm ready to get into it. And in studio, in the virtual studio, we have Ready Eddie, counselor coach, compassionate, caring, giving Courtney. Baby Tegan is in place. And our special guest, I'll let her introduce herself when it's time for her to speak, but she's up there waiting on us to get started. So, welcome to all of you. Thanks for tuning in. Put your comments wherever you see. As always, there are several streams of the show. So we're on YouTube right now. We're on the Vital Show page. We're on my page. We are in several different places. Hey, Courtney Beasley. That is Courtney's everywhere. So hey, everybody that's tuning in to us. Um, DMR. It stands for dating, mating, and relating. I don't want to waste any time with all the other stuff, but we do have to jump in and talk about the political things that are happening this week. There are so many. There are so many things that are going on, and we are super excited about them, but we're also sitting on the edges of our seats because we know that there are a lot of evil people out who are, in their opinion, vital. They're making a stand for what they believe in when it comes to election results and the America that they know of now being flipped upside down, and they are very upset about it. So before we go into our main topic of DMR, which you saw a few minutes ago at the bottom of the screen, I want to talk about what we are looking forward to this week and what your opinions are, what your thoughts and feelings are about what is coming. And Tiffany, feel free to jump in if you want to on this part of the show. You don't have to wait until we start talking about your area of expertise because we all live in America. So if you want to jump on in, but Courtney and Eddie, like in 2021, y'all, we are living in historical times and we have our feelings and opinions about it. So what are you all feeling and thinking?
I am really hoping that this is the moment of just like refreshing, recharging, just kind of instilling some newly sensed hope. I'm looking forward to the transition and not that I think that every policy and legislative position or stance that that Biden and Harris will have will I absolutely agree with. I am just looking forward to leadership that is once again, presidential. The things that I remember, like just kind of our America being more united and standing for. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to I know we have to be ready for change and being ready to adapt to things and so post pandemic everything looks different but this is the one thing that I am looking forward to just being like you once remembered and what we've had for the past several years is not what I recall for a president and how our country should be run and just the division. So I'm just looking forward to some newness and hoping that we can just start to turn towards each other again and not be as divided as it feels like the country is now.
Right. Eddie, what you got?
The system of any organization or company, the culture has to be built from the top down. And we've had, just like any system, when the leadership is problematic, um, a lot of systems underneath it become problematic. A lot of systems stop working. And so just looking at, like, I don't know how deep y'all get into it, but just looking at Biden's transitions teams, the people that he hoped to get in position to like kind of recover us from a lot of the things that Trump was doing. Like I
Yeah.
said, whether we believe Joe Biden's policies or not, whether we believe he's racist or not, he's putting a lot of people around him that do represent the things that a lot of us are going to need. And so I think, instead of just thinking about Biden, start looking around at the people that he's putting in all of these different positions that will be able to impact some change that do look like you, that represent something that's valuable to you. I think we get caught up so much in the popularity contest of the president, the president, the president, but the
Hmm.
president is just the figurehead that's supposed to represent our nation in some kind of positive light to the rest of the world. He is
Right.
not the be all end all when it comes to decisions. So I'm just like Courtney, I'm looking forward to the transition, just because I think it'll help kind of put us back where we thought we were supposed to be.
Okay. All right. I mean, I guess what I'm looking for, I'm absolutely looking forward to that part of it. But I know before that happens, like you're looking at more National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. than there are in Afghanistan. When I heard, and I've heard that like several times today, just kind of following stuff and preparing for the show and just preparing my mind for what's about to happen this week. So what I'm looking for is to see, are we about to embark on some type of war? And that's just being real. And like how where are we when it comes to preparation? Are we more concerned about the little things, or are we really looking at the bigger picture of that there are people who have been radicalized to believe that um, Donald Trump and what he stands for and what has happened is real? Like, you know, what are they willing to do? So I'm looking at that part of it. Everything that you guys said, but the rational part of me that feels like they're coming from the rational with that. I'm looking for that.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a scary situation, to a degree because I mean, first off, all of these people deployed out into DC is because of what happened at the Capitol, and also we still got a pandemic out here. You
That
know,
part.
yeah, and so it's so many things going on. I do think that that radicalized group is rather small, though. I think that radicalized group, the ones that will
Mhm.
storm the Capitol, I think they're the small extremists. I mean, there's a lot of Trump supporters that wouldn't beat down a police officer with a flag. The people
Okay.
that would beat a police officer with a flag to death, they came to the Capitol. And maybe some people came to the Capitol that thought it was just going to be some kind of protest, and then they got swooped in with a bunch of other people. I think it's just a small fringe group that they're gonna get taken out very swiftly if they try to do something crazy. But the thought of what if somebody, tried to take out Joe Biden, I mean, to me, it's like somebody in that group exists
I mean,
that
they were
would if
trying to
they
hang the
could.
vice president with a noose on the yard. They were going to kidnap other lawmakers. They were prepared to kill people. Like
Mhm.
they put bowel movements on people's I mean, there are no limits. There are no limits. They just didn't get as far. They didn't get far. So that's
Well, and I
kind of
think what
I'm
comes up
looking
for
at.
me, Woo, is that so I think there's a lot of preparedness, that's going to be there at the Capitol. That's already there. But one of the other things that I've been reading is just how we need to be aware nationwide around our other, these other our federal buildings or Capitol buildings, in our states. So to me, that could be potentially a scary
Right.
situation because I feel like at
Right.
the Capitol we're prepared in large numbers, and as Eddie said, I don't know that the extremists that were there, on that Wednesday are. I don't think that group is that big, but however, you start to spread them out
Over
amongst,
50 states.
small over 50 states, absolutely. Like then, what kind of issues can we have? So, you know, go ahead. I feel like I heard something.
It looked like it was some kind of echo, but we were hearing you though. The other part of the president being impeached twice. I don't know, like just the way that I'm looking at things, it's like people aren't really. I don't know if we're not really moved by how serious this is and how much history is in this moment. Only two other presidents have been impeached at all, and this one has been impeached 2 times. And
And I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no,
I think the part of the reason that people the people are maybe aren't taking it as serious is because so when it happened, I'm like, okay, so what does this mean? So in the history books, yes, you will go down as, the only president that's been, impeached twice. But in the world of Donald Trump, I just feel like as long as he is still able to make the moves that he can make and is surrounded by the people that support him to do the things that he does, it it didn't seem as significant, right? But so I what I but because so what I learned is that yes, he's been impeached for a second time, but there is still another voting process that has to happen for him not to be able to run in 2024, or for him not to be able to receive presidential benefits from here on out. So
right.
it's absolutely history. It does speak to I think the danger that he has put our country in. But I'm also, on the other end of this, I'm thinking, but for him, like, what does this really mean? Like,
Mm,
what does this really stop for him? Or does it stop
yeah.
anything?
Look, and you want a royal send off on the you don't want you're not going to the inauguration, but you're planning a party for you to leave or whatever you're planning. It's just real crazy to me. Like you shouldn't be allowed anything. They should pack you up in a barrel and roll it to wherever the hell it's gonna roll to, and just be done with it.
Girl. Right. I just feel like we just need to give him minimal presence. Like,
Yeah.
let however he leaves, let him leave. I just think that, his mark is knowing that he is heard. And so when Twitter did what they did and all these other social media outlets did what they did, I mean, I'm sure that he was just throwing fits. But I feel like that is what we need to continue to do. Just lessen his voice, like lower
There you
what
go.
he is trying to say, and I think that that will bother him more than anything.
Like, baby, bye. All
This
right.
Right.
So go
it
ahead,
ex-
Eddie.
it exposed a lot of problems in our system, though. I mean, it seemed like everybody been saying that he's been emboldening these racists. You know, they could have been took him off these platforms. They could have been censoring his stuff. They could have been doing that, but they didn't. You know, and what I hope it's exposed a lot about our political system. You know, when we talked about Bill Clinton getting impeached, I for some reason thought that
Mhm.
was bundled up with being removed from the office. I didn't know being impeached was just a little slap on the hand that
Right.
said, "Don't do that no more." You know, that's what it ended up being. You know, I didn't know that. Uh, I just didn't know the dynamics of flipping all of these seats until it became critical because I ain't lived in a time where it's one been this bipartisan and two been this critical to be flipping seats for power. I didn't know the
Mhm.
different responsibilities the House had versus the Senate had. You know, at least not in practice. Is you read it and you don't really see it, and so it kind of like slip your mind at some point. But this has done a lot of exposing the systems that we have and hopefully educating people about how they function. But
Yeah.
it's just been he been doing a lot of stuff that also shows that what I hope is that they put a lot more rules in for president. Like everybody, presidents in the past have acted off of this formality of this is a very pristine position and we follow the rules that are not written, but how we operate. But the
Mhm.
fact that he got to bring his family into the White House and nobody could say, no, you can't do that. You know, the fact that he could put us on the brink of wars at the drop of a dime without considering, you know, the Congress, and then justify he did everything he did and justified what he did by some stupid reason. And because the Republicans, were, brown nosing him this whole time, they just allowed it and justified it with him. But
Mm.
they know, and the Democrats know, which got all finna have all branches of power. It's finna be some rules put in place of what a future president can't do in that regard. I feel like it should
And
be at least.
right. This is how laws and policies are made, and suggestions are made from the people. Like, moving forward, this will not be able to happen. We will not deal with this again. Um, and just somebody, the world has been taking notes as to what can't happen again. We know that this cannot happen ever again in the history of the United States of America. So we're looking forward to a lot of stuff happening this week. We could go on and on and on about it, and if you all want to come back to this conversation, we definitely can. 994-8949 is the phone number. I'll let you know when the phone lines are open, but we got to jump into DMR. And how appropriate and fitting is it that we have all three counselors in, the two relationship counselors and the counselor Eddie, in the conversation with our attorney. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Go ahead and jump in the conversation, ma'am.
Hi, I am Tiffany Jones. I'm right here locally in Birmingham. I've been practicing for about 7 years now. My main focus is divorces, child custody, child support. And so I am ready to hear you guys' questions and provide the answer I can.
Yeah. So welcome to the show, Tiffany.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So, guys, for you all that are listening, there may be somewhat of a delay when some people speak. As you know, this is COVID time, and during COVID time, things have gotten technical. So as it gets technical, just bear with us and just wait for the response. So let's get straight in. Okay, so I just told you what we do, Tiffany. We are couples and family therapists. Like, we want to see couples and families and individuals be better. We want to see it work. But we also have the other side of it where when it's not working, we say, "Hey, this ain't working." we say we say it in a way that's nice or in a way that's therapeutic, but we have that part, and we may send them to you. So let's get in. I don't, I don't know if either of them have been sitting on some things before I jump in or before I present some of the stuff that other people have said on social media, because I do a lot of teasing before the shows start. So do you all have anything that you want to start with? Any questions that you want to lead in with?
But can I say something? Just jump in real quick. So when people come into my office, divorce is difficult. I'm married. I have 2 kids, and I tell people, I can't make a decision for you, regardless of what your spouse is doing or who's at fault. You have to make the decision that you want to leave the relationship. I'm in your life for a brief moment, and I am gone. This is a decision for the rest of your life. And I explain that to all my clients. And sometimes they come in and they say, Miss Jones, I'm ready. Sometimes they say, you know what, we're going to do counseling. And that's fine. Divorce is very serious, and I take it very seriously. So I want my clients to make sure this is what they want. If they want to move
Right.
forward, then I'm ready to prepare them for that process.
Okay. And then for people who are just thinking about it, like, I don't know what our options are. We've tried counseling. We stuck it out for years. We've been together for 15, 16 years trying to make it work. And neither of us are happy. We're just still married, or we did it for the kids. So like that's why I want to have this conversation, because every week, I can't say every day, but at least once or twice a week, I'll see somebody making a post, divorce attorneys, like in search of divorce attorney, and nobody knows where to find any. And I said, well, look, we're gonna find some. Let's let us do it. We'll find them. So we found you. Thank God. All right, Courtney, what you got?
I think mine is going to be more of a follow up to once the conversation gets going. So I'm going to save what I have.
Okay. Eddie. Ready, Eddie?
I'm right there too. I'm, gonna see where the conversation go in process.
See, all therapeutic. Well, let's go then. So Attorney Jones, Miss Tiffany. First of all, I think the main you
Tiffany,
you kind of hit on. Thank you. You kind of hit on a lot of things in the beginning just by saying that couples have to be ready. Like you got to be ready. You got to know what you're doing. So when couples first come to you, what are some of the main issues that you're hearing when it comes to why they're in your office?
most couples are coming in there for infidelity. Somebody has cheated. And
Mm,
most of the time, this is not the first time they have cheated. This is multiple times. But despite whatever the situation is, I tell my clients, I am not in your marriage, okay? You have to make the decision to stay or to leave. My views, my perspective is completely different. I don't push my views on my clients. A lot of issues is there's one person that's the breadwinner, whether it's the man or the woman. They paying all the bills. I hear that story all the time. And the other spouse works. They just choose not to pay the bills. And people get tired. When people come into
yeah.
my office, most of them didn't get tired yesterday or last week. They've been tired for years. And now they're just about to explode. They come
Right.
in from a 20-year marriage and you're saying, why are you here? And you find out the spouse been cheating since they've been married, with two
Yeah.
outside kids, just all types of stuff. But people are scared. People are afraid of the stigma to say, I'm divorced. They're terrified of splitting assets, and it's hard when children is
Mm,
involved. And so I try to get my clients, when there is kids involved, at least let's settle that part of it. Let's try to work out an agreement. But it's very difficult when children are involved. Everybody wants to fuss and fight about who gets them and when they see them. And so when I sit down with my clients, I talk to them as a person and I figure out what's
okay.
important to them and how can we make this transition as smooth as possible. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it don't.
Hmm. Okay, so cheating, infidelity is what gets them there. That's one of the main things, and I guess that's one of the main things that gets them to therapy as well. Like we got some issues, either too much sex outside of marriage or not enough sex in the marriage. I'm leaving. You also mentioned custody and children, finances. Like you mentioned, like the same issues. I guess we could share when it comes to working with couples. what made you say, out of all the law that I can practice, I want to practice divorce. I want to practice divorce law. I want to help couples be apart. Like what made you make that decision?
Um, I did not make that decision. I had no interest
Mm.
of being a divorce lawyer. I would tell you, I went to law school because I wanted to be a criminal justice lawyer. I wanted to work with
Oh,
people and I wanted to help them. And I got to doing it. And, you know, I just said criminal law wasn't for me. It just
okay.
wasn't for me. So
Okay.
I stumbled upon it. This was not my field of focus. I didn't even want to go on divorce court. And I got my first case and I said, I like this, and I'm good at this. And it just kind of ran from there. This is my passion. Doing divorce law, I like to help people because sometimes you can. Sometimes it's better to separate. If it's really
Right.
not working. Some people have been in an abusive relationship, whether it's mentally or physically, for a very long time, and they're hurting. And so they need to walk away from that situation. And I know that's hard because some people wrestle with that, with their beliefs. They try to work it out. They want to go to counseling. But I tell my clients, when you marry somebody, it takes two. You have to want to do it. When you get a divorce, it takes one person. The other spouse does not have to agree. And people kind of get confused about that. They say, well, I want to go to counseling. I want to work on this. But the other spouse don't have to. And they need to know that and understand that if one person say they want out, they can get out. The
Mm,
court is not going to
okay.
make them go to counsel.
So let's stop there. If one person wants out, they can get out. So a lot of people feel like, or I've heard, I don't know what it looks like, but the one person will file. Let's do it this way. Who do you normally see that files first? The what partner files first in a heterosexual relationship?
It varies, but most of the time it's my females. But I have had males, but most of the females file first.
Okay. And after she files, I've heard that, like, I ain't signing no papers. So can we now say that can we now say that, baby, you don't have to? Can we say that? I'm
Yes,
out anyway.
yes. So let,
Okay. Thank you.
let me explain that. So it's two types of divorces, okay? It's a
Uh-huh.
contested and an uncontested.
Okay.
So when you're in an uncontested divorce, that means everything's about agreement. And people get this misconstrued all the time. I mean everything. The custody of the kids, the child support, the alimony, who get in the car, who get in the house.
Mhm.
Everything has to be agreed upon for a uncontested divorce. That spouse
Okay.
can get one lawyer who's going to draft all the paperwork. And that's when you give it to the other spouse and say, hey, let's sign these papers. Okay. And
Right.
it's a wash. But sometimes it don't go that way. Sometimes the people can't agree. And so when they can't agree, it becomes contested. Even if it's about the smallest thing, it could be about the child support. It could be about the custody of the kids. That could be the only thing they fight about. That makes it
Mhm.
contested. And when it's contested, that means we have to go before a judge to make a decision on the issue because the parties cannot agree.
Hmm. Okay. So I'm just well, I want to make sure we're clear. Courtney, are you unmuted?
I am now.
Okay, go ahead. You go ahead.
So here's my question. So because as a therapist, if when people come into the office and statistically what we see is that it is usually 7 years post the time that they should have come in to try to have some resolution or resolve to whatever's going
Right.
on. So, we get them at that state too. There's just a lot of confusion. We don't know what we want to do. Sometimes you're thinking like y'all absolutely should not be together anymore, but I would never say that as a therapist. I let them make that decision. But
Right.
for therapy though, like it there is no, well, he wants to do it and she doesn't. Or I mean, for me, if both of you all don't want to be there, whether we're working together to be apart or whether we're working together to try to, move this thing forward, like both of you have to be in this. And I just feel like that's so essential because I can only envision how ugly things can get once they get to you and everything is uncontested. So I want to ask this. But so because as a therapist, there are some things that, from colleague to colleague, like there are certain specialties and things that I just don't do. You take so and so, no, I don't. So I want to know, are you the cutthroat therapist? He cheated on me 72 times. I'm tired. I'm done. Okay. I'm ready to be out of this. He don't want to be out of this because he know we finna knock his block off, right? So I want to know, like, are you that person? Or are you very, nurturing in this process? Or do you have situations where they come in one sided and it's like, yeah, we finna make our move. We finna make our next move, our best move.
Mm.
So to answer, I am both. I am nurturing to my clients. So most time my females who, staying at home with their children, taking care of the household, the husband's the breadwinner, they come into my office and they know nothing. They don't know what a bank account is. They don't know what what's in a savings account. They're lost. And I help them. I guide them. Let's look in these bank records, maybe checking that mailbox a little bit, do some digging, do some research. I will walk them through the process because a lot of times women come through my door and they have just been, I guess, envisioned by this fairy tale lifestyle that they don't have any idea of what's going on in their household. You know, so I guide them. I can be the cutthroat lawyer. I do my job. I would say that. It's work. It's not personal. It's business. It just depends on what walks through my door, and that's going to determine who I am.
So not picking sides, saying that, hey, like a lot of people feel like it's, when they go in because the woman filed for divorce that she's gonna get everything, and the men are gonna get the short end of the stick. Child support payments are gonna be outrageous. Alimony, all the stuff that you didn't even get when we were together. They feel like as soon as they get in front of a lawyer with some papers, it's about to be all about him being bashed and dogged out. So, what are your thoughts on that as a black female attorney who works in this space?
So sometimes the guys get the short end of the stick. They get confused. The main thing is child support. I have so many guys like, oh my God, my friend got 2 kids and they only paying 300. Why I gotta pay 700? Well, I don't make that number up. Child support is based off your income. We put in the husband income, the wife income, if there's daycare fees, if there's insurance fees, and it's a math equation. They give me a number. I don't make that up. And I
Okay.
understand, men say or women say, I got other bills, I got other kids. The court don't consider that. Like that factor is irrelevant. It is simply a math equation. However, if we're in an uncontested divorce, the parties can agree on the child support amount. I don't have to follow that number. So if the child support say $700, if husband and wife got an agreement, well, husband gonna pay 500. They can do that. Most of the times that don't happen, but it is possible. The parties can agree to pay a higher amount. So that number is flexible. The alimony payments, the judge typically determines that. Look at the lifestyle that they have had when they was together. They can look at the expenses, whether what type of bills they have, and to see if she can pay for it. And that's kind of how it's factored in. I know a lot of people don't like that. They don't want to talk about child support. They don't want to talk about alimony. They don't want to talk about their 401k. But what people need to realize is when you marry somebody, you become one at that moment. So their assets become your assets. And when you're going through a divorce, you are entitled to those things. I don't know if the judge is going to grant you everything, but you can go after them.
Gotcha. All right. Eddie or Courtney, y'all got anything? Because I got some more. I got tons.
As a therapist, I'm just throwing this out there. This what I see in therapy, and I'm sure y'all see it too, is that a woman been telling a man we need to go to counseling for the longest. And
Uh-huh.
he just be like, no, I ain't going to no counseling. And then at some point, the light in the woman's eyes dies,
Uh-huh.
and the man see it. It's different. Her sandwiches don't taste right no more. Your clothes ain't laid out the same way. It just everything changed. You and a man know it. Then he start getting on that. Hey, we need to go to counseling stuff. The thing about women is that light, once it's extinguished, it's very rare that it can be reignited. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so that's what I see on my side in counseling. So I guess I was wondering, like, at the point that they get to you, it's already a done deal, or is it a situation where you may suggest, like, when they get to you, suggestions are out. You just going for the divorce at this point. Is that the case?
Well, that's my job. Like I said, I'm human and I'm married and I have kids. Most times you come to my office, we talk about divorce. I have some clients that I have more of a personal relationship with, and I say, you sure this is what you want to do? Have y'all talked about counseling? And some of them would tell me they have. Some of them tell me that they're not interested. So it just depends on the
Mm-hmm.
situation. But when you come to me, it don't mean that you can't get out of this. Okay. Even if I file the divorce complaint, you can tell me at any time I want to work out my marriage. That has happened twice.
Mm-hmm.
They have filed it, and like I said, that little light, it's something click in the men's brain. They start paying them bills. They start washing them dishes. They start treating her like they did when they were dating. And she'll
Right.
say, Miss Jones, I think I want to, file the paperwork. And they have done that. Sometimes you have to show people better than tell them that you're serious.
Yeah.
For some people, it works.
Wow.
I
Okay.
have, I have, I have a question. When you were talking about, splitting up things and alimony and child support, and so a lot of times, I'll hear things like, and this could be either or. I'm using the male as the example, but that they have a way of, hiding assets. Like, I've been with you for this long. I know what kind of money you make. But then when we get to the table, all of a sudden, you got this one pay stub from the part time gig that you only work on the weekends, kind of thing. So how do people maneuver those situations? Like, how is it that sometimes somebody, really gets screwed in that, they end up having to give out a whole lot more than they really probably can, afford to budget for it. And then you've got these people that are loaded or not even loaded, but making a lot more, and they're able to get away with what they're able to get away with. How do you manage that? How do you handle that?
Mm-hmm.
So that comes to when you come through my door, the consultation period. When you come through, like I'm sure with you guys' clients, you fill out a questionnaire. I'm asking you about the assets. Some really don't know. But most times women have an inkling, like, I think he got something, but I don't know where it's at. So we have a thing called discovery. When you do discovery, you ask for interrogatories, which is a series of questions. You say, what's your name? What's your social? Where do you bank at? Things of that nature. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have a thing called requests for production of documents. And that's when I ask for a copy of those bank records. Now, I'm going to be honest. These people are not going to be forthcoming if they're trying to hide the money. See the Regis account and the Compass account. They might not give me that Wells Fargo account, but you have to be smart. If the client is telling you something is right, but once they give me their name and their social, I'm subpoenaing everybody. So I'm gonna find the money. So that's how you kind of figure out what the extra money is. If they give me two bank accounts, I need to search a little bit harder. I go a little bit deeper. They tell me I only got a checking account. Well, once I get that social, I search for anything. And that's how you
Yeah.
just, you find the money, basically. And the money will tell you.
The flip side to that, because we're talking a lot about the finances, and I think that's the part that everybody hates about divorce. Like, if I leave, I don't like you. I don't love you. I don't want to be here, but I don't want you to have my stuff. I don't want you to have my money. Let's look at the side of it when it's about emotion and incompatibility. Hey, we just don't need to be married. Like, you cool, but we're not supposed to be married. Let's do something different. What what about that part of things? Like, when people really need this as an out.
So we all heard the saying, what is cheaper to keep her.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is. I don't make that decision. Let's say, they got a house and maybe some property and he got a 401k.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, depending on the length of that marriage, and who's at fault, or maybe it's a situation where nobody's at fault, but he makes a little bit more than her. They were married. If that is his income grew while they were together, she's entitled to that. That doesn't mean she's gonna get half. She may only get
Mm-hmm.
10%. She may not get a big chunk of it, but she's entitled to something because she was in that marriage with that person. And that just happens when you combine two, like there's no way around it
Man.
unless they
But
can agree.
I have a
And maybe
question. I
she'll
know.
say, I'll just walk.
okay. Courtney, go ahead. And then we're gonna take a quick
There
break.
used there used to be common law marriage, and I don't know if it's a thing anymore.
Yep.
I feel like years ago it was like if you lived under the same roof for 7+ years, 10+ years, or whatever, you would consider common law. So I don't know if that's a thing anymore. So if it's not, what if you reside in the same home with someone, and y'all have had that situation for a long time, and then somebody decides that, like, that's not what they want anymore, and are there legal, I don't know what the word is to say, like, is there anything that either one of them can obtain legally when you've shared the same space or things for a duration of time? Because like I said, I don't know if common law is still a thing anymore, so you can share if it is, but if not, how does that work?
That's common law thing. It used to be. And if you lived in the same house, if you held yourself out to be husband and wife, if you have them on your bank account, if you get taxes and you check the box of married, the court can consider that as you guys being common law marriage. And you can go to divorce court and they will split your assets just like you were married. But now we don't have common law marriage. So if a person, unfortunately is living in a man or a woman and they have gotten these things together. They probably business partners at that point. So if they want to separate ties, it's a form of a business. How they're gonna do this, but they cannot get it as a married couple. It's definitely not gonna work. And it's unfortunate. This is just kind of a side note. I had a lady who was living with the man for a very long time, and he died unfortunately. And she wanted his estate. And she went to the court as the common law wife, and she wanted to get, his 401k and get his cars. And the court said no. Y'all was just living together. You was just his girlfriend. You are not entitled to those things. I don't care how long you've been with
Mm.
that person. If you guys aren't married, you're not entitled to their assets.
And that's why people kind of rush to get, well, I ain't gonna say rush to get married, but that is why people will marry for that, for those purposes. Like, hey, we're doing this type stuff. We have these things together because we've been dating this long, or what, however you came across what you have. So that's why people will get married, not really looking at the things they need to come and talk to us about, like preliminary stuff, like do we believe the same way? Do we, like all of those questions. So when we come back, we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna open the phone lines up now. 994-8949, 994-8949. We got about a 2-minute break. So y'all hang around. I'm not gonna stop the live. We're gonna keep rolling on social media. And the break starts now. It's Vital V949 WATV. All right, live. So we are still here with you guys. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Let us know if you know anybody that's in a position to need or that's considering divorce or just needing some consultation. Share the video to them. Share our live to them. You can share it on Messenger. You can text them and tell them to turn the radio on. However you need to share it, do that. I see a lot of people popping in and out on the Vital Show page. That's where I'm looking right now. Post those questions because it's very rare that you get a free consultation. This is vital information tonight. And not only that, but there are so many questions about divorce. There are so many people who are separated and still trying to figure out what they want to do and how much is it and what's going to happen. Here it is right here. So be sure to send them the video so they can join in on the conversation. Hey, Whitney. Hey, Jamil. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Hey, Adrian. So, yeah, post your comments, guys. We are still on. So, I see that. I see you. I see you. So, yeah, post your questions. Again, the phone number
Can
here is
I
nine.
make a comment about that?
What you say?
Hey, Lady Wu, can I make a comment about you said when people get married, they don't think.
Yeah, sure. You might want to save it for on air because we got about 45 seconds and then
Oh,
everybody can hear you that way.
she can't hear me.
I hear you.
I got a question about the money again too, but
Sure.
you just say when we get back on.
I don't see nothing wrong.
I was waiting.
I'm trying to figure out how to get my party started. These are things I
Okay.
should know at this point.
Here we go, y'all.
Sure.
V94.9 WATV, where the V stands for Vital, right now on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. We are in the middle of a conversation about it's called DMR, third Sunday every month. We have dating, mating, and relating right here on the radio. And we have special guests in studio to help us have this conversation tonight. Attorney Tiffany Jones is in. We're talking about divorce and when you got to drop off that baggage, the marriage baggage, dropping it off and how to do it and who can help you through it. That's tonight's topic. So the phone lines are open 994-8949 if you want to get in and ask your question. And Tiffany, I heard you saying that you wanted to you wanted to say something about what I was saying earlier. Please do. So for those of you listening through the radio, remember there is a slight delay with her. Can you hear me, Tiffany? I see her mouth moving, but I don't hear any words. Let's see, guys, what's going on. You speaking? Everybody can hear me?
Yes, ma'am. So
There
you
we
was talking earlier about sometimes people get married. I can.
Okay, go ahead.
So in those situations, before you get married, can do a prenup.
Okay.
You can't hear me?
We hear you now. Keep going.
You can't hear me? Yeah. I, I'm saying,
We hear you. It's just a little
can you hear me?
delayed. Yeah. So once you hear us, just start talking. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying you can do a prenuptial agreement. We do honor those in the state of Alabama. So if you're in a situation where you have a lot, if you're in a situation where you have a lot of assets, you may want to get a prenup. You may want to talk about, you know what, this is just gonna be mine. If I get a house or I get some property. Okay. You want to get some house, some property, you can definitely get a agreement before not to protect your assets.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going. It's really, really choppy. With you saying what your side is really choppy. But basically, getting a prenup if you have a lot of assets and you don't want to run the risk of having to come up off of all of your stuff in the case of divorce. So that's what I'm gathering. Just getting a prenup then. But I wonder like about annulment. When you think about we jumped in it too quick and now we see it's not working. What's the time frame of an annulment, Tiffany?
Well, she's gonna sign off and try to come back in. I think because her internet has been choppy, so I think she's gonna try to leave and come back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that would be good because I mean, there's so much to talk about within this topic, and I want people to be able to get it. So yeah, Tiffany, please, go out and come back in. We'll let you back in once you can. So just from this conversation, y'all, you see where we are and what we're talking about. What are our thoughts on this?
I mean, I think this. I obviously, when people get married, the hope is that it does not end in divorce. Um, I say though, and I know this can sound pessimistic. I just feel like if prepare yourself for everything when you're in a space where everybody's rationally thinking, we're on the same page, so that if you get to a place where you feel like we've grown apart, or we have irreconcilable differences or whatever, when it gets to this space of divorce, like, it doesn't have to be ugly. And especially when
Right.
kids and things like that are involved. It's just, from a therapeutic stance, I know I'm always thinking, when they come in as a couple, like, I am the advocate for the couple, not her, not him, not him, not him, not her, not her. Like, I am for the couple. And so what I want to do is be sure that I can help this unit work to do what it
Mhm.
needs to do best, right? So just preparing yourselves before you get to this moment, like Eddie said, where the sandwich don't taste the same. Like, before that light is gone, because it's just so. And it goes back to, I think, of what you said was, once that level of intimacy is invested, it's real difficult to think, outside of that, and just
Right.
try to consider all angles. It's, a lot of this, it becomes about me. Like, you screwed me, no, gloves off. And so, and I just think preparation is, if that's prenup, that's prenup. If that's premarital counseling, and, just wellness counseling check-ins, if that is that, it's, when y'all realize, like, things aren't the way they used to be, like, go talk to somebody. I mean, just
Right.
doing all the things that you can do before it gets to that space of, I'm I'm done. I'm
Yeah,
checked out. Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Courtney. Tiffany, you back? You
Yay!
good?
I don't know
Okay.
what was going on.
Okay. So yeah, we were just kind of rapping about just the whole knowing when to go, knowing when to seek help before having to say, you know what, let's just call it quits, and like doing that pre-work. So we were talking about annulment. That was my question. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but some people jump in, and as soon as they move in together, as soon as they say I do, I don't. I don't know what this is. How soon can you say we don't?
You can say it the next day if you want to, but that doesn't give you grounds for an annulment. That's still a divorce.
What?
Yes, people get that misconstrued. You can only
Let me
get
out of
an
here.
annulment if you was under duress, they force you, maybe you didn't consummate the marriage. But if you guys consummated and you went into that knowingly that you wanted to marry this person, you can't get no annulment. You get a divorce. People
What
get
does
that misconstrued
consummate
all the
mean?
time. Ma'am,
What does consummate mean?
you know what consummate means.
I act like I don't. What does that mean?
If you guys do the do, you need to
Uh-huh.
get a divorce. If you have a
Really?
sexual yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
I've had people 2 months. You get a divorce. It does not matter. You get a divorce.
Wow.
But if you do marry somebody and they one party refuse to consummate with the other party, then they can get an annulment.
That's right. That's true.
But,
If you don't
but
consummate
who
as husband and wife, you can do that or whatever.
what proof do you okay.
Well,
But
I,
what
proof.
proof do
but
you
Well,
I
I
think,
have?
mean, I, you can tell the judge whatever you want, but most of the time, people that consummated the marriage. So you
Long
know,
before the marriage
have
though.
you
Like
ever had that situation before, Tiffany?
I have actually had two people that wanted to get an annulment, and we went through this process. And I said, no, you get a divorce. They was only married for like 2 months, but that don't give you grounds for an annulment. You went
But were
into
both of them on the same page of wanting an annulment? And then explain that. Why would, if you have a couple that comes in and they want an annulment, and you, after you go through what you go through, and you tell them, no, this is a divorce, what's the difference? Like, why would I want an annulment versus
a
a
divorce.
divorce, or a divorce versus an annulment?
So a divorce is gonna be basically, I guess, like on your record, that you've been married before. Okay. And so if you try to get remarried, you have to put that on the paperwork, that I've been married
Mm.
before. It ended by, divorce, death, whatever the case may be. And annulment, it wipes it away. It's like it never happened.
That's
Girl, shut
wild.
up.
Act
Yes,
like it
ma'am.
never happened.
So technically, two people can get together and let one of them say that I wouldn't have sex with the other one, just to make an annulment happen if they wanted to.
And have a
Basically,
clean record.
and have a
Boy,
clean slate.
you know what? I ain't fooling
Mm.
But
with
you
y'all.
know they ain't gonna come in and say that. They gonna say, judge, we did this. And that's gonna be
Like,
enough.
I had a question
okay.
about the money thing. I just wanted to see how much you ran into this situation and if it's like equal, because there's been a lot of movements with like cut the check, with like Mary J and Kendall, where it's like the woman end up being the breadwinner and the man likes trying to get money. Like in the court systems, is it really equal in terms of how I guess sympathetic the courts end up being for women when it happens to them and the man is the breadwinner versus when it happens to men on the other side? Like, is it the same as we just put the numbers in and it give us out a calculation, or the men kind of get the short end of the stick when that's the situation?
I
Yeah.
think it comes with your lawyer. If you're the man and the woman has been basically been the breadwinner, you need to go with somebody that's going to present your case. It's going to let them know that he was at home, he was cooking, he was cleaning, he was taking the kids to soccer practice. You need to come strong in your case so that he can get some of those women finances. The court would do it, but you better make sure you have a good picture for them to see that you are doing the things that typically is the role of a woman or that we see a woman doing so that you can get some of
Okay.
those assets.
So what you're saying is because men have to come hard, women don't have to come as hard as men in painting that picture. So the court system is a little unbalanced in the context of when men are in the situation versus when women are in the situation.
I would say that. I mean, we all human, and we just typically think that it's the mom or it's the wife that's doing the drop off and pick up and doing the cooking and cleaning. And sometimes we don't have to paint that picture as much. But if it's a man, I think you need to go deeper about. Tell me what's your day-to-day activity. Tell me that you woke up, that you got the kids dressed, that you dropped them off, that you helped them with the homework. Let me know what you're doing as to why, maybe you're not the breadwinner or why you need this. There are some cases, it's rare, where the man gets, primary custody of the kids. But you need to make sure, like I said, that you show the court that you have been there. Because most times they're looking to give those kids probably to the woman.
Well, I mean, and as the black male therapist on the panel, I just got to make sure that the men out here know that if you are a quality father figure or somebody who have been doing what you're supposed to be doing, y'all need to know that you got to put in extra work to prove to the world that you are a
Right.
man that's different than what they perceive men as being. Because I've gotten really irritated with working with like DHR in a lot of different cases where it's like the mama smoke crack in the living room and they trying to make sure that the mama get the kids back, and the daddy, it has been just quality all around. He kind of maybe detached from the situation because every system that he's been a part of has made it hard for him, you know. But men don't, it is a double-edged sword and double standards. Like, you got to make sure you're doing your part out here to make sure that you show the world that you're not just that common average picture of what men see, and that's really why brought it up.
I
No,
appreciate
that's
that.
true. I agree with that.
All
And
right.
like, I don't know if I was choppy before, but I did want to make it important to know people can't get a prenup. That is important. If you know you have businesses and that you're gonna continue to grow on those businesses, and
Mm-hmm.
you may not want that person to get it, or you want to maybe put a limit on how much they can receive, get a prenup.
So, okay, we're gonna have to take a break again just to get to the top of the next hour. But you mentioned having things like I have this amount of things. You have to have a certain amount of things to consider a prenup. When we come back from this quick break, my first question, Tiffany, is gonna be: do I have to be stacked and racked and balling to get a prenup, or can I simply get one and say, baby, you ain't getting none of this little stuff I got? So let's take this quick break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes right here, V949 WATV. You're listening to Vital. It's the third Sunday DMR. The phone lines are open. There is somebody out there listening that's like, man, this is everything I needed. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to ask for. Didn't know who to call. Didn't know how it was going to shape up. This is your show. Be right back. All right, everybody. So if you're watching on the live, Tiffany's contact information is right here at the bottom of the screen. Tiffany Jones Law Firm at gmail.com. You can email her now, send questions, check her out. Tiffany, is there any other contact information that you want to share?
I can give you my office number. It's
Okay,
two
yeah,
zero
go ahead and let them
five
know.
205 490 8355.
8355.
Yes.
Awesome. So you got all of the information, everybody. So hey, use this, use this. Try to, get what you need, find out what you need to know. I want to talk about like when people are trying to figure it out, they want to make that decision, or they're in front of you and they think they want to make the decision, but they end up getting stuck in the fact that I don't want to hurt my soon to be ex's feelings. I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing because I don't want to embarrass them. I want to talk about that. But we're gonna talk about their prenup piece first though. And how that goes. So if you all are watching and listening, post your comments, and if we can find them on whatever stream you're on, we will share them. And then yeah, we're gonna jump into these comments about I see one from Miss Lachey up here. I've been by myself for 12 years now. Scared I might still be attracted to the same type of guys. Courtney, I cannot wait to get into that. Any comments like that? Because we're gonna jump into the other side of this thing soon. We're going to talk about divorce, but we definitely have other stuff to address as well. LaShawn says Tiffany does a great job making sure the men are treated fairly. That is great to hear. That's great to hear. Thank you, LaShawn.
And thank you,
All right.
Tiffany, because it's kind of what Eddie was just mentioning, just how the system is different, and there are double standards. So it's nice to know that the person that's advocating for you is gonna make that push and be sure to get you what you deserve as well from the from a man's perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we got a minute 29 seconds. Y'all. I'm going to go get a bottle of water. I shall return in just a second. Just stay right there. Look at the baby. Okay.
How old's your baby?
She will be 5 months on the 30th, so she's right at about 4.5 months.
She's doing so good.
Girl, I think she is so peaceful. Like, she is the most chill baby ever. And I know I'm biased, but this is her all the time.
I couldn't get my baby like that. My baby will be 1 on Sunday, and she's downstairs. I got the door shut. I'm like, don't let her scream.
Don't let her
Don't let her
go.
scream.
Don't let her make any noise. Yeah, yes. You know what? When I get closer, when she gets closer to 1, I'm not sure that it won't be the same way. But thus far, she is. I can keep her on, but I feel like maybe when we get closer to 1 year old, like, she may not be able to be as participating in the lives.
The show, baby. So she knows her role now. Like she's chilling, great. Just a
She's
part of
having
the
a good
show. I get it.
time.
I'm on the panel. What's up?
Right. What other questions y'all got?
All right, everybody's watching. Stay here. Stay locked. We're coming right back with the intro, or top of the hour rather. To get you guys in for our last hour. Tiffany, where's your office located?
I'm in Irondale. The
Okay.
address is 5415 Beacon Drive, Suite 125, Irondale 35210. You know where the old Walmart used to be at?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Across from that little shopping center. I think it's called Grants Mill Station.
Gotcha.
Oh, you're
Okay.
over there with I Am Love with
Ye-
Trey Chain down from Southeastern Savages and Gus Hot
Yes,
Dogs and girl. See, yeah, I
you
grew up
know
in
exactly
Ardell.
where I'm
Yeah, I
You
at.
up
lived in
there,
Holiday
girl.
Gardens. Yes, girl.
Here we go, y'all.
Yeah.
We're back.
Okay.
V949 WAT Vital. Vital. That's what it stands for right now because that's what's happening. We are in the middle of the Abby Award winning Vital show. DMR, third Sunday, dating, mating, and relating. And it could be divorce, restitution, divorce, marriage, whatever. It can stand for whatever it needs to stand for. But y'all know we get into this relationship thing every third Sunday, and it can be from so many different angles. So 2021, it was just on me to like help people get all that baggage off. And I just feel like when you told around a bad relationship and you know that it's not where you want to be, we want to give resources. So this is a resource. Attorney Tiffany Jones is in Tiffany Jones Law Firm at gmail.com. We'll share the phone number shortly. She even just told you where the office is. If you want to pull up and be like, hey, help us, you got it now. So I really just appreciate the channels that got us connected to Tiffany for this great information tonight. So we've learned thus far the difference between an annulment and a divorce, how long you can get um or what, not how long, but like the time that you have for an annulment or divorce. What else did we learn? Oh, the prenup. We learned
The
about getting a
prenup.
prenup and that
Hmm.
being protective. We learned that
As soon as she
typically
get your social, she's gonna be able to find the
find
money.
everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah.
Don't get
Hmm.
the money.
That's
Big brother Blue
important.
is in the building. What's up, Blue?
Hey, brother Blue.
And
How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, second hour joining us is Big Brother Blue. Birmingham Blue is in the building as well. So, Tiffany, about that prenup. So, I may not have a lot of businesses or, this big house or anything like that. But, say, for instance, the house that we live in belongs to one of the partners. The car that we drive belongs to one of the partners. I'm the one that was the breadwinner when we started. Can I get a prenup just basically on a everyday lifestyle? Like just, I don't have a record label. I don't have $50,000 on standby. Like I don't have that much. But what if I have just a little that I do have? Can that be mine once I say I don't want you no more? I don't want you no more.
Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't matter how
Okay.
little or how much you have. You can say you want a
Perfect.
prenup because you don't know where you're gonna go in the future. You may get some houses,
Okay.
you may get some money. So you can say you can't touch this. You can definitely put it in writing. It's not a problem.
Okay. I like that. So that's good to know. You don't have to have just tons of stuff to get a
Mm-mm.
prenup. So we're planning. We're setting the relationship up, setting this marriage up. And just in case, sweetheart, you won't get none of this. Okay, cool.
There you
Let's look at some of these comments. Which one did I see? Does anybody does any property purchased during the marriage belong to both spouses?
So yeah, so this is how this works. Before I get into the question, let's say
Hmm.
boyfriend and girlfriend are together and then they get married. Okay. Well, if they didn't buy that house and he moved in or she moved in, that property only belongs to the person who was there before they got married. That is not
Mm,
spousal property. People get that misconstrued. So when you move in with somebody and then you get married, that's not your house. But when you leave that residence and y'all buy a house together, then it becomes marital property. That car
okay.
that you bought, that's marital property. Once you are married, it does not become marital property until you become married, unless you already had it prior to the marriage.
Okay. Understood. So to answer your question, Alicia, does any property purchased during the marriage belong to both spouses? Yep.
Yes.
All right. So
Mm-mm.
buying
Be careful.
houses, yeah, right. Know what you're doing, okay? So then, where else we going? Like, what are some of the other big questions and issues that people have when it comes to filing for divorce?
I was wondering how specific can a prenup be? Like, can a prenup say, so let's say somebody's starting off a business acquiring property or flipping houses or something. Can it be like, I want this prenup to include any possible earnings I gain from this particular business? Or let's say somebody got $100,000 like handbag collection. It's like, or they have acquired that handbag collection during the marriage. It's something that they started doing at the beginning. Can they say, well, I plan on acquiring all of these types of handbags or that's going to be worth a lot of money. I don't want that person to be able to access this particular thing. Like, can they be that specific as far as prenups go?
Absolutely. And you should be Pacific. Because if you get in a situation where you get a divorce and you like, I don't want you to touch this property. I don't want you to touch this account. So if you have a business or you think about inquiring in a business, I would put in there, you are not entitled to any earnings or profits or gains from this business now and in the future. Any checking accounts, any saving accounts, any money market accounts that has to do with this business, I'll be very specific. Whether you
Mhm.
have it or you thinking about it, it don't even have to have a name. Okay, if you just say in the event I acquire a new business or I do a new business, that person is not entitled to it. You can absolutely do that.
Is the primary hang up for people getting prenups just this, like, this idea that you doing this means that you're preparing for us to not be together? Like this idea that if I sign this, like, you asking me for a prenup means you don't think we gonna be together for the long ride. Is that generally the hang up that you've seen with signing prenups, or that any other like hang ups when it comes to that outside of just like that perception?
Yeah, people think that we're not gonna be together. You don't trust me. You think I would take all your money. You think I don't
Mm.
love you. People do say that, and they do feel that way. And my answer varies. Well, if you guys believe you're gonna be together forever, then what's the big deal of signing it?
I got a question.
Okay.
Mm.
So this very hypothetically speaking, and I very hypothetically speaking. So let's say, for instance, something was to happen to my wife when we had this big policy, and a lot of assets were attached to that. And I met another person, married them. How much I would demand a prenup because I just feel like you don't deserve or you shouldn't get nothing that's attached to my previous situation. And so if I didn't do that, how much of that would they be entitled to, being that they are now your new spouse?
Mm. Good
So that's a
question.
great question. So if you marry this new person and you have all this money in the bank and you buy a house for this person, they entitled to everything. It's not a portion. I understand that the money came over time, but when she married you, that's what you had. And now she wants a part of it. And the court will look at that. It's not gonna be how long that marriage was, it's gonna be what you did, how you I guess the lifestyle that you gave her, the places that you guys went, the trips that you took, they will be review that and they will make a decision. So without that prenup, it's kind of fair game.
Wow.
Mm. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. I don't care where
Yeah.
you got it from.
That's basically that's the old
Run
saying.
me
It's
my
the
coin.
truth.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that kind of that changed the perspective of those who feel like, there are some things that I have that don't include us. They're my things. And I just wonder about that idea and that thought process when it comes to marriage. Like, do you all think that when you marry someone that everything that's yours is theirs? Is that how we think?
I do.
You do? Okay. Cool.
I mean, when I married my husband, of course, I wasn't a lawyer or nothing like that. I didn't have a business. And I have other businesses as well. And
Hmm.
I look at it as with him as well. Everything you have is mine. That's how I view it. We are one. We are in this together, and I'm in this for the long haul. So whatever you have, I feel I'm entitled to it. And that
What
may
about
be
soap
some.
and deodorant and stuff though? Like, that's my
I mean,
soap.
he can have that. I mean, he can have those small things, but the big things, they mine. We
Like
one.
what though? Because I'm telling you, so when you think about, like, this is serious. I don't know if it was a show or what, or if somebody was telling, I don't remember. But my suggestion to the female was to, well, buy your stuff, keep it in like a bag or something, and take it in the bathroom when you go. Because she was like, oh, he uses all of my stuff. Because he feels like how you feel, Tiffany, that what's yours is mine, what's mine. Baby, this is not yours. This is even female Senate. Why are you using my stuff? And so, like
They
she
got a
said,
whole nother issue.
Thank you, Courtney.
right.
That's some other issues going on. I don't know,
Yeah,
baby.
Yeah,
that's
that's not what we're saying.
okay. I'm sorry.
We want to be specific about what belongs to who, and like how. the conversations that you have in order to establish that. Like in the beginning, do we have a savings account together, or do you have your money, I have my money, and then we have an account? Like those type questions and conversations have to happen early on, like dating early on.
And I
I
think those are the conversations that we miss a lot of the time. I came across something that said that unexpressed expectation is premeditated resentment.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so what happens is when you don't say, hey, these are my special products, they pretty expensive. I kind of don't want you putting them on yourself because you ain't have them before me. You don't need them with me,
Yeah.
so we can get you something different. If you don't have that conversation and every time you come to the bathroom, your products going down quarter by quarter, it's just building up that resentment. If you don't, and so it's the same thing in relationships. Like you have to have all these conversations. You have to express everything that you expect out of these relationships. And it's okay to say, I expect you not to use this thing or not to do this thing.
Yeah.
And I think that we get caught up in the idea that we come to a relationship with our own understanding of what we want and what we willing to give. You got to remember that's a whole nother person with a whole nother set of life experiences that you got to figure out how
Right.
to find middle ground with most of this stuff for. And if you don't make those expectations known, you're going to resent these different parts of their lives at some point.
Mm, that's good.
I absolutely agree, Eddie. And this is a therapeutic plug, and I just think that that is why premarital counseling is absolutely essential, because I feel like we are trained to facilitate conversations that aren't always natural when you're in the dating phase. And when I say not natural, just some of them are uncomfortable situations. Like, yeah, I got 75,000 worth of student debt. Like maybe I
Yeah.
don't want to say that, but I've had a couple in my office that shared that it was not until after they were married that she found out that her husband had hundreds of thousands of dollars of student debt, student loan debt, and it was after they were married. And so, and I think finances is actually one of the conversations that just seems like this is something we're supposed to have,
Yeah.
a discussion about. But I absolutely feel like that's why, again, premarital counseling is so helpful, because I know it for me that there are things that I'm going to ask you all, and that you're not probably you may not be having those conversations. So
Yeah.
because every detail matters. Because if it doesn't matter day one, year 5, year 6, year 7, when it was cute and it was okay and it was weekend with, yeah, it's not the same then. So absolutely, Eddie, like lay those conversations out very detailed.
Have the conversation. The phone lines are open for you to join the conversation, 994-8949. You can also put your comments in the comment section, and we will share them to the best of our ability if we're on the live that you're on. So the one that I'm following right now where comments are visible is Vital Show. So if you're on that particular Facebook page, please post your comments. You don't even have to be a friend. You can just like the page and make your comment or ask your question. So we have a comment right here from Mr. Davin Jones that says, I disagree. I'm married and we are one. My wife has a business and has put all the work into her business. I don't feel I am entitled because I am her husband. I like that thought. So, like, that's her business, but the businesses or the business that we have together, that's our business. What y'all think?
Yeah, and so here's the thing that that works for his relationship, right? So that, I mean, if
Okay.
she is okay with that and he is okay with that, that's perfect. Like his mold doesn't have to fit Tiffany's mold. The issue is going to be, if he felt like he was entitled to that, and the wife was thinking, well, nah, this is my blood, sweat, and tears. Now I think I could beg to differ in that, it may be her business, but I don't think that you can show me an aspect of your relationship where what you have done has not helped her make the moves that she made. She didn't do it by herself. If it's just for the sheer fact that you are who you are that allowed her to go out and to do that business, you definitely played a role in her being able to have what she has. But at the end of the day, if it is okay within your circumstances that's the way it is, that's perfect. I wouldn't touch that as a therapist. Like absolutely, y'all be great that way. Um,
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to fit, that mold doesn't have to fit every relationship. But you do
And
play a part, brother. Don't short yourself.
yeah, and
Right.
and I don't want to speak about this to Mr. Jones's marriage, but I want to say, like, in a situation where a person feels the same way you feel, if what if it turned into a situation where she end up, banking $5 million off of her business, then things go south and y'all don't have a prenup, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people ain't gonna be willing to say, no, that's all her 5 million. People at that point go, then you
Right.
gonna start picking out, well, you know what? I did this for the kids. I bought this inventory to your business several, you know what I'm saying? And so I do think I think it's a very healthy compartmentalization to say that's her business. She get to have this carve out of her life without me that she do. But I also think it's healthy, as Courtney is saying, to also recognize that you offer a part to the system that allowed her to make the moves that she made. It
Yeah.
kind of go along with that the dialogue in the conservative circles where it's like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. I did all this by myself. But the reality is you still drove inventory to your building on roads that other people built. So even though you believe you did it yourself, you a lot of bricks and foundations were laid for you. A lot of teachers gave you the knowledge. A lot of mentors gave you the input. So as a husband and or a wife, you could have given that person some motivation, some push forward, some value that helped them do that thing that they might not have been able to do without that.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And just kind of piggyback on what they said earlier. Every relationship is different. Neither one is the same. And things work different for other people. But I agree. You may not think you play a role, whether you have to pay for a business license, whether you was some more support, or you put some money into that business, whether it was the chair, the computer, you have helped. If you're a spouse, I'm sure you have helped her build that business up.
Yes. So just, looking at the whole thing about divorce, Tiffany, I don't know if we've exhausted every question that it's just a general question, but I know one of them is how much is it? Is it super expensive? Because I don't want to pay for a divorce. If I could, we could just separate all that type thing. Like, how much is it? It ain't nothing to separate other than the bills that we have. But what's a legal separation?
So a legal separation is just like a divorce. When people come to my office, they want a legal separation. It's basically because of religious beliefs, because they don't want to marry,
Oh,
divorce title to their name. Because you're gonna do everything. You're gonna separate assets. You're gonna talk about custody of the kids. We're gonna discuss the 401k. You're gonna get child support. You're gonna get alimony. You're gonna get everything that you need, but it's not gonna be a divorce. It's gonna be a legal separation. That's the only
okay,
difference. It's the title.
okay. Wow. So basically, you divorced. Oh,
You are,
um,
but it make for their religious beliefs. And then the money
So
wise, go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead, Tiffany. Finish what you were saying. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was just gonna say the money wise, it varies. It's just like going into maybe Walmart to maybe Target. Maybe Belk or Saks. It depends on your lawyer, but also the details of your case. When you walk into my office and you talking about you have several businesses and properties, that's gonna cost you money because now we gotta dig into it. Most of these people are not just gonna give you information and say, "Here you go. Here's my checkbook." You're gonna have to find it. You need to see what's
yeah,
going on. There are several phases to do that. We talked about discovery, interrogatories, production of documents. Sometimes we do depositions, which is prior to court, and you get to ask them all these questions to get information because sometimes when you're not the breadwinner, you don't know what's going on in your marriage. You don't know what they
mm,
are doing and what they're spending their money on. And this is the way to find out the information.
okay.
Yeah, because see, it's a sign when you're headed 65 South. I don't know if it's there anymore head to Montgomery, but it's a big billboard that said they can get you a divorce for like $99. So what is what does that mean? Is that the uncontested
That's
or is that
that's
what that is?
uncontested. You gonna
Okay.
sign them papers, baby. You ain't gonna argue about nothing. You just gonna
And I
sign
mean,
them papers.
right.
Okay.
So what
Okay.
I want to help people get to that point. Like when your relationship is over, or when it like I understand how you feel. Your feelings are great for you, but your partner ain't feeling that. Like they want you to do what you need to do. and sign these papers. Like why we need a court date and to go for before a judge for me to continue to tell you that I don't want the marriage anymore. So I'm gonna put it in the newspaper. Can we still do that?
Yes, so the newspaper is when you can't find a person. So everybody knows when any
Oh,
type of complaint, you have to get served. Now, if it's uncontested, I don't have to do that. You could just come in and pick it up in my office. But if we're
okay.
in a contested divorce, that means I'm serving you at your job, at your house. So now you
Oh my
mad, right?
goodness.
Okay.
Right.
But if I don't know what the person is, I have to ask the court to file by publication, and it will run in the newspaper. You're saying that you want a divorce, and that's how
Okay.
that works. But just
Okay.
because I tell my clients, have you talked to your spouse about divorce? Do they know it's coming? Some of them say they have. Some of them say no, just surprise them. But I tell them to talk to their spouse because the more that you can agree on, it is cheaper for you, it's faster for you, and it's better for you. You've been with this person mostly for a long time, most of the time, more than me. So try to work it out. Try to see what you can agree on. Even if it's just the small things. Maybe it's gonna be the kids. Maybe it's gonna be the visitation schedule. Figure out what you can agree, and I can help you with the rest.
I like that. And not
Surprising people with a divorce must be like a straight, like I just want you to be mad as I can make
I
you.
was just about to comment
Like
on that, Eddie. Like, wait a minute. Hold on now.
like why would somebody opt to surprise?
surprise.
What reasons have you seen where people will opt to surprise somebody with a divorce? Like why are they doing that? Like is it like I want to make them mad, or they don't know they doing this to me and I want them to be surprised with how I find out and break it to them with a divorce paper. Like what reason do you see for that?
Cause they mad, they been cheating, and they fed up, and they like, you know what? Do it at their job, or they've been talking about
Embarrassing.
it for years. Right? They've been talking about it for years. And now they say, "I'm ready." Yeah, they just and some people are completely surprised, and the process server come back and say they was yelling and cussing, and but I don't see that side.
You knew
I
this was
just send
right.
them.
You knew this was coming. Stop it. Stop.
They did,
So
but not at their job though. People get mad when you go to their
okay.
job.
You're right. Well, sorry. Look. Okay. Uh I think a lot of times people will end up in front of a judge. Like everything else can be uncontested until you get to the dollar amount of what I'm supposed to pay. So that's why we end up having to go to a judge, like with child support and stuff like that. Like I've been in that situation where, this could have been really easy. You could have come into the attorney's office. We could have sat there and done it, right? And signed the papers and still been done with it. But I was young. I don't even know how we ended up in court, but we ended up in court doing the same thing we could have done at the attorney's office, who's now a judge and did an awesome job with it. And you look at like how, the child support was set, and that was the only thing that was in the middle of it. There was nothing else. Like nothing else was there. So is that the main reason that you see that you get involved because of child support?
Absolutely. And let me tell you what I do. When it's an uncontested divorce, most of the times, I represent the woman, and I already know it's going to be an issue with child support. Well, it's a chart. I talked about that earlier. I
The
show the
equation, right?
men the chart. I say, hey,
Hmm.
bring me your pay stubs. I get his pay stubs. I am showing them what I'm doing. And when you show people and you explain it to them, they feel better about the situation. They don't feel
Okay,
like,
yeah.
oh, you trying to get over on me. I'm saying, okay, look, I put in your income, her income. The chart gives me this number. I'm going to divide this number by this number. I am walking them through every single process. And when I do that, they are more comfortable when they leave out my office.
Okay, cool. So the education piece of it, which is exactly why this is vital. It's a vital conversation for you to know that, I think she paid her more to mess me up. I think she, gave her more information behind the scenes to like really make me look bad, that type thing. So you are really like sworn to oath that you're going to be fair and just, right? Ain't that a part of that?
So
Am
I
I?
will be fair. I will be just. Okay.
Yeah.
But you can only represent one party. Even in an uncontested divorce, I only represent
Ah,
one party. That paperwork is gonna clearly tell you I represent the wife. I do not represent the husband. You may want to get somebody to go over this paperwork with you. And sometimes they do that because I am only representing one person. But most of the time, if it's uncontested, these people have agreed to that. And I've only put it into paperwork what you agreed to.
Okay.
And
All
then there'll
right.
be nothing further
Tiffany,
from
have you worked with mediators? I have a good friend, good colleague friend that is big in the divorce world and she does divorce mediation. Is that something that you do or have done or see a need for in your practice?
Yes, we got a new law. Every judge don't always enforce it, but when you file a divorce complaint, you are required to go to mediation. It doesn't mean that you're going to settle your case, but they require you to go because sometimes when you get the two people in a room together, or get the lawyers or the mediator together, you kind of air out some of that stuff. You know, they want to talk about maybe the infidelity or maybe them not
Mm-hmm.
washing dishes. You know, stuff that's really irrelevant to what we're here for. You know, are they
Mm-hmm.
a good parent? You know, what's their income? You know, these things to try to get to the what's important. And the mediation can sometimes solve those cases because people just run off emotions and feelings and not the
Right.
real issues.
Okay. 9948949 is the studio number. You can call and be on the air, or you can, of course, post your comments and questions on social media. If you don't see your question asked, go over to Vital Show and put it there on that page as we are looking at the comments on that page now. So, any other questions for attorney Tiffany Jones at
Yeah.
Tiffany Jones Law Firm at gmail.com? Go ahead, Eddie.
Um. So I don't know if you got something to speak to this, Blue, or not, but um, something that I experience in couples counseling is that sometimes every single objective measure of why you shouldn't be together is met, except for the Bible say we shouldn't do this.
Hmm.
So I was wondering, like, how much have you experienced? Like, do you have a dialogue for when people are hung up on the idea of maybe wanting to do it, maybe not wanting to do it because it don't go with their faith.
Yeah.
So I'm a Christian. So I look at it this way. This is just my personal belief. If you in a situation and you're unhappy, and I don't think you should stay there. That's just my, if you are unhappy, you go home, you sad, you know, you don't like where you at, you close yourself off in the room. That's not healthy for anybody. And so I think you need to get out. I'm not opposed to them doing counseling, but when you're in that place, then I think you need to move on.
Okay.
I think Blue was finna say something. I think he was muted.
He was. He's still mute. Blue.
I'm ready. I'm in now.
Get it
Y'all
together.
got as a Christian, God respects marriage. I never, Jesus never forced himself on others. And so I don't force Jesus on people. If you have Christian belief, then there's a Christian standard. And God respects marriage. God sees marriages as a unified agreement. And so, if you got one person that's for God and you got one person that's kind of have a
Okay. Now.
rift. Y'all heard me?
No. You went out.
Yeah, somebody tried to call me, man. I don't know what's been going on. But
Do not disturb.
do not disturb. So yeah, it's just you when you when you have people like one of the biggest problems I see in marriages and relationships is when one person is trying to be a part of church and trying to walk a certain kind of life and the other person isn't. It usually took it kind of is like the story of the when they say equally yoked. You got to understand the yoke comes from the metaphor of two oxes on a yoke. That thing that goes around their head is called a yoke. And if one is bearing more than the other one, then the other one has to carry the load. And it's a possibility that because that other one is carrying the load, that the ox could die. So it's kind of like that, from a spiritual perspective in marriage. If one of them is carrying the spiritual load, it's gonna drain that one who's carrying it. You know what I'm saying? Did that answer the question, Eddie?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'm looking for insight more than anything. So, what would you say? What would you say if I was just mentioning? So maybe I've run into somebody who have been cheated on a number of times, and through their spiritual counseling, you know, the the counselors are really kind of trying to get the woman to just forgive the man for all the stuff that he's done for the sake of, biblical reference in your faith. And they both got the same faith and they both feel the same thing, but it just seemed overwhelmingly beneficial to the man who been doing everything he want to do to say, y'all can work through this with Christ versus when does a spiritual counselor get to a point where they would say, well, maybe this ain't gonna work, or is there a balance, or is it just depend on that spiritual counselor?
Man, they say you supposed how many times you supposed to forgive your neighbor or whatever, 7 times 70. That's with the attitude or the intention that that person is not gonna keep intentionally trying to do the same thing over, meaning that we're all imperfect. But as my mama would say, even a dog get tired. And it's just like I don't believe that God condones consistent and repetitive infidelity.
Right.
That you can't make me believe that.
Yeah,
Right.
Sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes people, we human. But I mean, hey, how many times you gonna let yourself be dogged? You know,
yeah,
Right. That part, and then how many times are you the person that's actually doing the dog and gonna do, like, what made you decide that marriage is what you should do if you weren't ready for it? Like, clearly you know that these aren't the behaviors of somebody that's married, but if you're doing it, you should expect me to show up at your job or whoever Tiffany sends to serve your papers. Like, you should expect that. You shouldn't be surprised when they come, no matter how long it takes. So if you're just tuning in for the second hour, we are halfway through. We only got about 25 minutes left, but we are talking about divorce. Dating, mating, and relating, dropping the marriage baggage. So when it becomes baggage and you're ready to dissolve your relationship, like, hey, we thought we wanted to be together forever. I thought I wanted to have your last name. I thought that I couldn't live without you, but then I found out that that was a lie, and I want a divorce. Now we know who you can call: Tiffany Jones Law Firm at 205-490-8355. This is very much a vital conversation. And I just want to be able to be a resource to somebody who is, sitting on what it's going to take to be able to get free. And I say free not in a bad way, because our relationships don't just end bad. It's not that, you know, I don't like you or I don't love you. I just know that we're not compatible, we're not good together, and we need to dissolve this marriage. So, anything else for our guest before she goes? Because I want to go to one of the comments that I saw from one of our listeners. And Tiffany, of course, you can hang in, but just as
man.
far as divorce goes.
If you know anything about poker, they say that you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Mm,
Because if you hold them too long, knowing that you can't get a win out of it, you're gonna lose all of your money. You putting in money
I,
bit after bit. At a certain point, you like men, you got to get beside your ego, and women, you got to get beside that fairy tale image that been conditioned into women from our society, and
yes.
sometimes say that we will be happier apart than we are together. Our children will grow up healthier if we are apart versus with us together. Sometimes that's you got to know when to fold them.
I like that. And that's, yeah, I like that. That's fact. Anything else? Tiffany, you have anything you want to leave our listeners with? And then Courtney, I see you.
No, I agree completely. Personal experience, my family, my parents are divorced, and we're fine. It was better to maybe walk away from that situation. I talked to my dad, I talked to my mom, and I think they're both happy in their newfound lives and journey in life. People always think the kids don't know. As a lawyer, sometimes I am kids or lawyers in other aspects of my jobs. And I talk to children. Children are very smart human beings. They hear the parents fussing. They know something's not right. And a lot of times people are staying together because of the children. But really, sometimes they know it would be better if mom and dad separate because I'm tired of them arguing. I'm tired of mama crying. I'm tired of them fussing. And so it's better to leave so they can be better for themselves and for their kids.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead, Courtney.
Okay, I was going to speak to both what Eddie said and what just Tiffany just said. So, you're absolutely right. Kids are very aware. Kids are like almost untrained therapists, and that they pick up on everything. It's not necessarily what you're saying, and maybe what you're not saying. So even the parents that are like, we're existing in the same house, we sleep in different beds, we don't argue, we don't. So you're modeling for them what they're learning is relationship, and that's not healthy either. So yes, absolutely. Sometimes it's the harder decision is to be apart, but it could be absolutely more beneficial for the kids. And so with the analogy of Texas Hold'em, so yeah, sometimes you do fold, and then sometimes you take a risk, and there's a ginormous gain. So you could be on either side of that hand. And I just think that, if you're not sure, if you're not certain whether this is a fold'em situation or this is, a holder situation, um, consult. Like go talk to somebody and allow somebody to maybe help you facilitate and mediate what you have going on, so that if your next step is Tiffany, that it doesn't have to be something, it doesn't have to be as challenging.
Right.
And let me add that. Let me add, men, that listen. When men and women, but I think men on this side of the stick most of the time. Men, when a woman come to you and says we need to talk to a counselor, if you don't heed to that input, this is going to be a long, problematic journey for you. All right. I mean, it ain't playful. She ain't joking around. The relationship may look good on the surface. If a woman come to you and say, we need to go talk to a counselor, just go do it.
You need to go.
Just go do it.
Yeah.
Consult. Like Courtney said, go do it. Just go talk to him. I promise you, this is the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm. So you're getting the tips from counselors, like not because it's a business move, you're getting the tips because you need it. I want to know who that is that's running like a bakery or a restaurant. What's going on? So look, as we switch gears, check this out. I've been by myself for 12 years now. Scared I might still be attracted to the same type of guys. I've been by myself for 12 years, scared I might be still attracted to the same type of guys. What that right there is very much one of those type things that we discuss with our people when they come in. Like, you continue to do the same thing, you get the same results type situation. That's what I'm hearing with that. What are your thoughts about that? Because I do want to speak to her. She mentioned it for a reason. So what are you all thinking on that?
I think
Well, I
that.
think. Oh,
Oh,
go
go
ahead,
ahead,
Eddie.
Courtney.
No,
You
no,
do
go ahead. I'm gonna grab my charger. No, you go ahead, brother.
it.
I'm
Okay.
listening.
I think that. I think that. I think that we. So every time I tell somebody that I'm a counselor, they be like, "Oh, you analyzing me?" And the answer is yes. Yes, you should be analyzing me too. You should be analyzing the world around you like we all do it. Just because I have words that represent what some of the disorders of my analysis means, don't mean that we shouldn't all be analyzing. And so I think if you
Right.
look at the patterns of all of the guys that you've dated in the past, process what the problems were with them that makes you afraid that you would pick another one of them. If you put together what things that they had in common, then you have a pathway of, of looking at the next guy when he starts simulating some of those patterns. Then that's got to be a hard no for you. All right, look, I look like I'm gonna get off on this stop because this looked like it did last time. You know,
Right.
most of what we do in our life is a series of decisions. And don't get me wrong, they are chain linked to old decisions that we made, but they are essentially a series of decisions. And you just have to know about yourself when those problematic signs show up. Are you somebody that can say, I am deciding to bow out of this now? Can you make that decision?
Can I?
But use the information that you had in the past for that. And that's all I got.
I want to say something as a man. Been a man all my life, but But listen, I feel like men only do what you allow them to do. Now, let me explain that. You can never stop a man from doing anything. But I just feel like confidence is the most attractive repellent
Mm-hmm.
that I've ever seen. So if you always walking in confidence, if you always walking in believing in who you are, I mean, I just feel like that's, be so confident in yourself. You let me just say this. Now I'll be done. The most attractive woman to me is the woman who don't need me.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is that I add to her life. I'm an accent. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, what makes her whole. You know what I'm saying? She's already whole. But
Right.
I just bring more to it. And I mean, we always like the forbidden and what we can't and what we shouldn't have. So ain't nothing wrong with you. You just normal.
Okay.
But I just think, if it looked like a duck and quack like a duck, it must be a duck.
Yeah, and like really looking at those red flags, like I
Yeah,
always
like
mention, you may not be waving them. They may not wave them in the beginning, but you
right.
see some things, like you see small things, if it's nothing else, that will remind you of what you've seen already that has caused you some type of apprehension or that even caused you some trauma or
Mm-hmm.
damage. Like, oh, I know what this is, but I'm gonna give them a chance because it's still new. And I know a lot of us get caught up like that because
Ooh,
it's new.
you get sucked in, you get trapped.
And before you know it, it's old and it's the same stuff when it's first. I think we've discovered what's happening now. Yeah, you're gonna get put off. Okay, so as we carry on to continue the conversation about, you know, investing in situations, investing in relationships, and getting back out there and not making the same mistakes twice, so that you won't end up in Tiffany's office. What should couples be doing, or what should people be doing? Y'all know it's cuffing season. It hadn't really just been like super cold. We had a few cold days, but this is a season where people find love, and you know, it kind of you start defining things around this time. So, what should people be doing and looking for right now, y'all?
I think, I mean, what we do in our society is we really find people through lust first.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's important because aesthetically, what they had that reality show where people couldn't see each other and was in different rooms and boxes, and aesthetically, the aesthetics mean something. It's important that we know what a person look like. um but at a certain point, that can only take you so far. At a certain point, you got to start working on compatibility. At a certain point, you got to ask questions that make sure, like we talked about earlier, y'all got the same plans for kids. Y'all got the same plans for praise and worship. Y'all got the
Mm-hmm.
same plans for money management and investment and moving forward in your career. Y'all got the same plans for where you're going to live. And like, these conversations got to be had really, really early.
Right.
And when you create those expectations and a person know what you want, they can work towards becoming the person that can give you those things, as you work towards being a person that can give that other person those things. It's got to be a joint effort. So
But
when you get all of that stuff
not
out the way, you're good.
but not changing or fronting like you can change who you are to satisfy the things that they've said. If you hear these things and you know that that's not who you are, or that's not what you're capable of, you need to make the decision and say, well, yeah, that was lust. I like how you look, I like how you feel, but I can't be that person for you.
Or
So
yeah,
there's
or just knowing the limitations of what that means. Like, I mean, I guess what happens in our society is, because of that lust and because of that sexual engagement that happens earlier than those conversations happen, you start to grow emotional attachment to people, and then you end up wanting to connect with that person further just based off of that versus not having those conversations. you know and a big part of that is, you have to have, like Blue said, you got to have confidence in yourself that you got I'm sorry, Blue disappeared, threw me off. You
I'm
got to
still
have
here.
okay. You got to have confidence in yourself that you know what you want,
Hmm.
and you're not just conforming to that other person. And I got a lot of clients that struggling with that, struggling with knowing what they want and really kind of living off the whims of other people who do know what they want. That's
Right.
an individual struggle.
I was Yeah, so I was gonna say something very similar to that, Eddie, and that is so when you pose this question, well, the first thing that came up to me was compatibility, right? Like
Mm,
so making sure that you're connected with somebody who is meeting you where you are. So and I say that now, I think 10 years ago I could compatibility for me was like potential, right? Like the space I was in, I was growing. There was a lot of things that I was working on and trying to do. I'm at a space in my life now where um I, I'm not willing to be with you on potential, right? So but if you know if I think if you meet someone who is still working on whatever they're working on and building in a space of like tremendous growth or whatever, they're going to attach themselves to something that looks more stable, right? So the expectation that they're going to be the ones to say, you know what, I'm not ready for this, I think is unrealistic. I mean, some people may do it. Some people may say, you know what, like I see what you got going, like I see who you are. I'm not ready for that yet. You know what I mean? Or I'm still trying to, do whatever I'm doing. Meanwhile, like I still want to be in this. So I don't think everybody's going to be willing to say that they're not as compatible.
I don't
So,
know if I've ever
you
seen
know,
anybody that was able to say it, like to say it and verbalize it how you just did at this point. Like, at the point where we are in communication now, we can say it, but I don't know that there are a lot of people who will honestly admit that, hey, you know what, I may not be good for you right now, or I can't. I'm not interested in what you're interested in, and it not be confrontational or it not be an issue.
hmm
Because people want what they want. I want, like I said, I like how you look, I like how you feel, so I want you. I'm not equipped, but I want you. I'm not I'm not in the position that I should be in, but I want you. So I'm gonna just act like I can do it until I can't, and then we end up in Tiffany's office.
yeah,
And,
Right,
and
Tiffany?
people
yes,
and people don't like rejection.
That
I
part.
mean, people don't even like to hear, I can't be this for you now. Even if they would try to be it for you at some point. Like a lot of people just, especially when you get older, it's like, I don't got time to play games. Like I need to going to get going right now.
Yeah.
So
right.
Hmm.
And I think to go off what Eddie said, I think we are so in a place where we want to avoid the stuff that doesn't feel good. So I want to avoid rejection. I want to avoid, the potential divorce. I want to, and I think, we can't be people that avoid. I mean, the emotions that come are they are a truth, right? So yeah, I may feel rejected and that sucks, and I'm gonna have to pick up the pieces, and I don't like it. But rejection is a fact of life, and maybe you being rejected in month one is going to prevent a whole lot of heartache and headache than year 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's another thing. We just got to get to a place where we can sit in some uncomfortable stuff, because the more that we try to avoid it, I think that that's what gets us to these spaces of, first of all, I've married somebody that was not for me anyway, or two, now that we're married, we probably waited too long to get to this divorce stage and things are ugly. So don't be so quick to avoid the hard stuff. Sometimes we got to sit in
Yeah.
that stuff and get what's for us so that we can be better. So I don't, a lot of times we'll see the rejection or something like that as a negative, but man, what's on the other side of that rejection? Like, is your real, the husband or the wife that's really supposed to be the one
Yeah.
for you? Is that what's on the other side of that rejection? It may be. So, let's not be so avoidant. We can sit in some stuff.
Yeah, I
That
agree. That's
that
what I'm kind of.
that's the good. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Yeah, that was good. I was just gonna say, we gotta learn to be true to ourselves. Just like this, just being a woman in period. Sometimes people tell us things, but we're not listening. We hear what they're saying, but we just choose to avoid it. They telling you, what their plans are, what their goals are, if they want kids, or how they feel about working, or their dreams, or their ambitions, and that maybe give you a red flag, and you thinking maybe you can change them. You cannot change people. People come to my office all the time. You can't fix people. People tell you who they are and listen. And you make your decision based off that, not about what you think you can do for them.
Okay. All right. So you all are tuned in to Vital DMR. every third Sunday right here on your radio and on social media. My connection to you all online died, so I'm gonna see if I can get back in just for the last couple of minutes of the show. But Tiffany, while I do that, could you give us your contact information again, please?
Sure. So I'm located in Irondale. My address is 5415 Beacon Drive, Suite 125. That's Irondale 35210. My phone number is 205-490-8355.
All right. And you are doing divorces, annulments, prenups. What else do you do in your office?
I am here for all your family law needs, divorces, child
Family
support.
law.
Yes, child custody, those modifications. I also do some family court work. I heard Eddie talking about that earlier when DHR come knocking at your door. And
Yeah.
briefly, I talked about me representing kids. Sometimes when a divorce gets sticky or when DHR is involved, kids are entitled to lawyers. They are called guardians ad litem. I am a certified guardian ad litem, so I also
Hmm.
deal with kids as well.
Okay. Awesome. Family. So, I mean, it's very fitting. Family law, and like I told you, our focus being family therapy, like making sure that we can secure strong, healthy families and family structures for our people. Like my focus is the African American family, making sure that even if we can't be in the same household, we can still function properly. And if we are in the same household, let's be healthy. Let's go ahead and address stuff and talk about all the stuff that we just threw in the closet and didn't deal with, didn't unpack. Let's unpack it and put it back nicely. So I'm grateful for you being someone that looks like us, someone that speaks like us, someone that can understand our issues and our concerns when it comes to what we need, male and female. Anything else that you all have for Tiffany? Any other thoughts or questions? Okay. So contact information is streaming on our website. If you want me on our stream, if you want to contact her for services, Tiffany Jones Law Firm at gmail.com. If you want to email, or if you want to call 205-490-8355. Before we go, I do have a question about modifications. I know a lot of people, this is something that I just, you know, because when you're not mad at the person that you're leaving or that you are in this legal situation with, you don't do things to hurt them. You don't do things to take more than you need. You don't do that. But in the event that that happens, you mentioned modifications. Is it ever too late to do a modification with child support or alimony or anything like that?
Absolutely not. You can do a
Okay.
modification for any reason. A modification can be done for an increase. Let's say one party now has a better job.
Uh-huh.
You can do it for there, or maybe now the child is in daycare. You can do a modification for a decrease. Let's say dad is paying child support and now he's not working at that job anymore. Maybe he's unemployed. Maybe he's laid off.
Mm-hmm.
A modification can happen at any time, whether it's an increase or a decrease. As long as it's a 10% reduction or decrease, the court will honor it. Also, modifications happen with child support. A lot of men think that when their child turns 19 or when they go to college, child support should stop. But that's not how it works. You have to go back to court. If you don't go to
Mm.
court, the wife will continue to receive that money. The court does not keep up with that child's age. You have to go back to court and say the child has reached the age of majority and child support will stop at that time. That's very important,
Okay.
and a lot of men do not know
Oh, I did not know that either. So what's the age? One more again. What's the
that.
age?
19, or if the child attends a 4-year college or university, child support should stop. It's just not going to automatically stop. You got to file that modification.
Plug.
That's
See,
good to know.
I have you.
That's
You learned me some things tonight, Miss Tiffany.
I ain't
You
lying
right.
because I mean
Mm,
I know some dudes out here struggling. Like, how did y'all even get
right.
amount?
Yeah.
Where did you get this amount from? Like, what? So it's never too late. You can go
It's
in,
never too late.
like even if they only, like I don't have much longer to pay. I'm only paying now for a few more months or maybe whatever. It's not much longer, but they can still make the modification.
At any time, they can make a modification if their income has changed in any way. Or sometimes, when it's smaller age children, you have daycare fees in there. Well, now this
Yeah.
child is school age, but you still paying for daycare. do a modification.
And that's on both sides, right? So like if
That's
it's
on both.
child,
Well, you know,
yeah.
if you're the person that's getting the money, you're not gonna file no modification. It's gonna be the other side that's gonna file that modification.
So, but just to the point that you made, like if we file for divorce or if it's a custody, whatever it is, a child support, and the child, it happens when the child is a baby or in daycare.
Hmm.
And now that they are older child, they need, is it that they need more things or they need less things? Like, how does that go? Like, does it, what does a modification look like in that situation?
So what you do is you come to the court and you would say the needs of the child has decreased if we're talking about child care because now this child is in school age. So that daycare fee is no longer necessary. So that amount is going to come out. And daycare is high, okay? It is very expensive. So that's going to help decrease that child support.
So
Okay.
let me ask this, Tiffany. What happens if so my child has been going to daycare and now he is, I don't know, 10. So he in fifth grade. You still playing daycare. And ex-husband decides that wait, hold on, wait a minute. Did y'all just hear what Tiffany was talking about on Vital? Let me go run my check. So can he get something back? Like could I potentially owe him for anything? Okay.
So
Mm,
yeah, so sometimes the guys get upset. They have been paying, but the
Yeah.
thing
I'm mad.
is,
I'm big mad.
you big mad, and I'm sorry that you
Yeah.
mad, sir. You cannot get your money back. It is just a wash. It is your responsibility to keep track of those things. That's what the court's gonna say, and all they're gonna do is modify,
Mm.
and you're not gonna get a credit for that. It's gone.
mm.
But they have to
Okay.
pay back child support.
They do.
Like,
So, and
but that's if you've already. Go ahead.
that
I'm
child
sorry.
support is very important. So, typically when well, I just do when you're not married. Let's do not married people. You just date somebody and you go to family court. Sometimes the child's 6 months old when you file the petition, but you don't get the court to the child 9 months old. Well, the court gonna go all the way back from when that child was born, and you're gonna be in a hole for back child support unless you can show that you were doing things for the child when child was a baby. Maybe you was buying pampers. Maybe you was going half on a daycare. But if you don't have proof that you were actively taking care of that child, they gonna hit you for back child support every time.
Mm.
Could the mama say, "Oh well, Judge, he has been helping. I don't have receipts and stuff like that, but he been helping." It does that work too? Is that
It
sufficient?
does. If you have a party on the other side that's gonna be truthful, and sometimes that does happen. They say no, he has done it, and it'll be
Mm.
zero. But most times, when you give these
They're
people,
going back.
they is gonna say they never received it. And so I tell my people, if you're giving somebody money for a child, get a receipt, write child support, write something. Because when you go to court,
Mm.
they gonna say they didn't get it, and cash don't have no name on it. I can't track
Right.
that.
Mm.
Money
Mm.
orders,
Money, give me a money
check.
order because I can track that down.
Yeah,
Write me a check. Give me something that I can prove.
gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Look, this is free game. I just posted on my page, like, bruh, file for that modification.
Yes, please, brothers,
Bruh,
go file, do that. Yeah.
you paying
I
child
mean,
support.
mamas, I want y'all to have yours, but that ain't right.
It's not. So the number to do it and to
Mm-mm.
set it up is 205-490-8355. Tiffany Jones Law Firm at gmail.com. If you want to email her, hey ma'am, look, I've been paying $2,000 for two children that I don't even get to see. We have issues over the holidays. Like, I don't want to pay it no more. And he probably doesn't. He probably doesn't even have to. Oh, somebody is really tripping. You're listening to Vital on the radio.
I think
Yes.
that was Eddie. Eddie, is that in Hawaii?
That's Hawaii. There are wild chickens and roosters everywhere. I did not expect that when I came out here. The way you'll see cats out in Alabama is just wild chickens and roosters at the trash cans everywhere. They
Oh,
like thugs too. You don't even want to go up to them. Just
Only,
leave them alone. Mind your business.
I'm
only
so
here.
tickled.
Oh, wow. And Courtney, you be pinpointing, oh, them pots and pans, yeah, that was blue. Oh, them chickens,
That's
oh, them
blue.
chickens. What? Yeah. Tonight has been an awesome show. A lot of information has been exchanged. Thank you so much. I think we have found a
Thank
new
you, Tiff.
friend in
I
attorney
enjoyed
Tiffany
it. Thank
Jones,
Yes.
you.
for sure. So dating, mating, and relating happens every third Sunday. right here on the radio and on social media. During like leading up to it, oh, we go in on Facebook with posts and different conversations and topics because we want to get people talking. These are the things that we talk about on a daily basis. We talked about Lori Harvey until she probably decided that, hey, I will never tell y'all who I'm dating again. We talk about uh, Kanye and Kim Kardashian facing divorce. Like we're talking about all of this stuff on social media, but what we do is we bring it to the air so that we can reach the masses. So hopefully we reached you and you can reach Tiffany at 205-490-8355. 205-490-8355. Tiffany Jones Law Firm at gmail.com. Thank you all so much. Great show tonight.
Thank
Great
you.
information for sure. And I will chat with everybody tomorrow, 10 a.m. right here on V94.9 for Lady Woo's Midday Groove. I hope you come back and groove with me. Yeah, have a good night. Be vital. Very